Hello, my friends. You are with Alexandria Nicole with the Empower Hour, and today we have Miss Kesha Chanel with us. I'm so excited. So, the meaning of our podcast is to help inspire, motivate, and most of all, empower the people who are listening. So, thank you so much for being here with me this evening, Miss Chanel. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm so excited to have you on with me.
Me too. I'm excited to be here.
Now, I can see mine. I'm going to switch it to public. Boop.
It's not
And we're
saying.
live now. Can you see it on your screen, on your Facebook end?
I don't see it.
Okay, go to my page.
Go to your
It says
page.
it's got one share there. So, does that
Go
share you? No. Do you see it streaming on mine?
go to yours. Alexandria Next. Alexandria Nicole.
Colin, thank you. And there's a
No.
conversation taking.
Yes, I do see it. Oh, looking
Yeah.
forward. I do see it streaming on yours.
Do you have the option to share?
Turn that volume down too. It's not cool. But the volume is down.
Taking place. Look.
Volume down too. It's not cool. Share. What? I'll share. I'll share now.
Yay! Okay, so we are also streaming live on your timeline as well. So I'm so excited to have you, Miss Kesha. So tell us who you are, what you do, and what you are most passionate about.
I am Kesha Chanel. I am a certified abundant life coach. I'm an author, speaker, healer, mother, daughter, sister, friend, all these things. And I am passionate about helping women feel better about who they are and who God created them to be. I help women rebuild confidence and overcome what took it.
I love that. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been certified as a life coach for 3 years.
Did you say 30?
3. Mercy.
Three. I was like, girl, where'd you get it when you was 12? So that's wonderful. So 3 years and you're loving every minute of it, I'm guessing.
I am. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to help people come through what I've been through. It's awesome. I love it.
I love it. So tell me, so what inspires you most about what it is that you do?
I think what most inspires me is when I come across everyday women and sometimes men even that watch my Instagrams and have read the book and or in my Facebook and just different social media things, and they tell me how inspired that they are. And when they hear like, "Oh, you went through that," I had no idea. Now that's the biggest thing that I want to come across to women is like you can go through molestation, you can go through divorce, you can go through infidelity, you can go through bullying and all sorts of pain, and you can come out still shining. And because a lot of times when you're in that pain, you don't think that you can get up, you don't think that you can get out. But to see me, it's important for me to be on social media and talk about, how good I feel. But it's also important that I talk about the bad days too. And sometimes that it's hard. So when they tell me that I inspire them, that means the world to me. It means the sun, moon, and stars. I just freaking love it. This is like, yes, God, I'm doing what you said. So yeah, when people feel inspired and moved, that really gets me. Yeah.
I love that. So what's the title of your book and what's it about?
I feel better already. Yourself, and it's your journey to self-discovery and self-confidence. And it's exactly about that. But the main thing that it's about is about because, and I wrote the book for me. I wrote all my things for me. Because a lot of times when you read things and you'll hear stories, when you've been through trauma, you see the world through a lens of pain. A lot of people go through thinking that, oh, I can do this and I can do that. When you've been through trauma, you don't feel like you can do anything. You don't feel like you can get a guy. You don't feel like you're qualified to get a job. You don't feel like the sun is going to shine on you the same way it does on somebody else. It's just, you just see life differently. And I wrote this book from the perspective of a person who's been through trauma and how to get through that and feel better than when you first picked it up. That's my goal and that's my hope. And I take the person through, it's a 5-week journey through 5 steps. And the first step to getting over anything is acceptance. Accept where you are, what you've done, your life, your shortcomings, your good, your bad, whatever the situation is, accept it. It's the first step. The second step is to make a decision. Make a decision on whatever it is that you're going to do about that step, whether you're going to accept it and decide to be better and go forward, or if you're going to decide just to sit in it and stay.
Mm.
Whatever you decide is your decision and it's fine, but just know that it's your decision. And the third step is to release all blame, shame, guilt, fear, all just release all the bullshit that's in your head. Release all of it is the third step. The fourth step is to finally rebuild your confidence. And the fifth step is to fight to keep it. Because what happens with the whole thing with confidence, you can feel great, you can feel better already, just like the name of the book. But after that, you got to fight to keep that confidence. And that's not the thing to do. So that fifth step is the fight to keep it. And what I also mentioned in the book is that these steps are recurring. You go back and forth, back and forth. But that's what it is. That's what life's about. And it's a journey. It's a journey. And that's why I love my book. I've lived it like several times. And it's just like, okay, God, let's go. This is what we're doing.
So in your book, are you using your personal journey and some of the things that you've gone through as teachable moments to teach people how to overcome those moments?
Yes, every day, each of the 30 days I have, it's called Walk It Like I Talk It, is the section on I lived every single page, every single scripture,
Mm.
every single quote, every single tip. I have my journey in there too. It's some very personal things that I'm very proud to share. Well, scared to share, but I'm proud to share.
Yeah,
But it's just
yeah.
like, yeah, it's gonna help some people heal. I know that it is. I know it. So yeah.
So that's why I love even having a podcast, is because I believe there's such a power in storytelling and people sharing their testimonies and empowering other people with the struggles that they have been through, and letting people know also is so important that no one is alone, right?
Mhm.
Like there is someone who has had an experience parallel to yours and another person, and sometimes reading that another person has had a similar experience, that allows that person to not feel alone and feel seen and validated and understand that it's okay to be hurt in your current moment. But also, there is another side to it. There's something beyond that. A life after healing, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So, what is the greatest lesson? And I know this is a loaded question, especially since you have a book loaded with lessons and triumphs and overcoming. What's the greatest lesson you think that you've learned?
Mm. I had to love me before anybody else could. Yeah.
Mm.
Biggest failure, well, I wouldn't say failure. One of the biggest problems in my marriage was that I expected my ex-husband to be my savior, to be my everything, my earth, my air, for me to breathe and for me to feel any kind of love at all. And for a long time, he was that. And then when he stopped, just because he's a freaking human being, I just came to reality, and it was just like, huh? And after therapy and after being a coach, and because I had to be my own first coach when I became a coach, that's when I learned that the molestation was the root of everything, because I
Mm.
saw myself as a piece of trash to be used by a man to be to satisfy his own sexual urges, not my own life. I had no voice, I had no mouth, I had no right, I had no say, and I just felt very invalidated. I felt just a lot of self-loathing, a lot of self-hate, just terrible about myself. And I didn't realize that until therapy and until coaching to get to that root of what was wrong. And I know that, so many Black women and then some other race women that I've met have been through molestation, and they've been through this kind of pain, and they don't realize that it's affecting so many parts of their lives. And I know that
Mm.
now, and that's why I can go on with forgiveness, and I can go on and helping other people get through that same thing that I got through. And so that was the
Mm.
biggest thing. I had to learn how to love me with no makeup,
Mm.
no wig, with butt naked, loving me who I am. just as God made me. And then
Yes.
mm,
So you said that it essentially, did you come to that realization after you got divorced and then you were seeking counseling and then, through that help and that therapy and kind of unpacking some things, you came to realize that you weren't loving yourself properly?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so good that you even openly talk about therapy. I know that there's a lot of work being done around, organizations and therapists kind of removing that stigma from people going and seeking help outside of themselves and going to a therapist. But a lot of times you find a lot of resistance, especially in the Black communities, because we feel like our business is our business.
Hmm.
And all we have to do is pray about our problems. But
Hmm.
a lot of times we don't seek the help that we need. And ultimately, it kind of creates this perpetual cycle of inner turmoil and pain. So
Hmm.
I think it's wonderful that you're even talking openly about the aspect of you seeking therapy.
Yeah, for sure. It's necessary. And I think one thing I would definitely like to say about therapy, because I have a couple of followers that I've suggested therapy to. And
Hmm.
we had, well, different people have actually tried it and they had a therapist that they just didn't mesh with, whether the
Hmm.
therapist didn't relate to their Black experience, or they felt like they were ostracized, or they felt like they weren't understood. If the first, just like with shoes, if you don't like the first one, try another one, but
Right.
it's so important that we go through, because I've been doing therapy for like over 20 years and I have been
Mhm.
through so many different therapists, getting one that works, and now I'm blessed to have a Black one, and it's like we're like cousins and we just sit there and talk about stuff, and it feels good to have somebody that can relate to me as a Black woman, that can relate to me, and understand my heart and my spirit, because sometimes you don't feel like that. So I just really want to say that if you get to that person, and even if it's a coach, you hire a coach, you get a therapist. If you don't mesh with them, that doesn't mean that coaching isn't from you. It doesn't mean that therapy isn't for you. It means that that therapist or that coach is not for you. Just keep going, because your healing is so worth it. And it's not something that you can do alone. It's really not. Ask me how I know.
And that's great because you really don't hear that very frequently, that if you go to one or two or three therapists and you feel like you're just not connecting with this person, or you
Mhm.
can't really tap into the level of vulnerability that you want to, a lot of times people just feel like, well, I guess therapy isn't in for me. And
Mhm.
then they go on with that kind of with that unresolved issue that they didn't continue to seek help for because
Mhm.
they didn't align with the who it was that was their therapist. So
Mhm.
I really appreciate you bringing that to light, that sometimes you do have to put in effort towards finding the person that is the right fit for you.
It's true. Yeah.
So how long did it take you, would you say, to find a therapist that you really felt like connected with you and helped you get to some unresolved issues?
Well, I think the reality for me, because my stuff was so deep and there was so much, because my molestation happened so early, and then there was such a compounding of stuff in my childhood. It was a lot to unpack. It was a lot. So for me, it was a combination of the coaching and the therapy for me. And it was just like,
Mm.
this one that I have now is great, but the one before that was good too. And she was white. She was great, but I think with the fact that with the combining them with the coaching, because the coaching had accountability, and it's just like the therapist was just sit and listen to me, and you're okay, and this is this because of this. But the coaching is like, okay, this is what you want. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's get some results,
Yes.
work, and exercises, and just doing stuff to actually be active in my healing versus just sitting on the couch and talking. The sitting on the
Mm.
couch and talking is very important to unpack and unravel, but then after that you have to do something about it. So for me it was a combination of the two, and I speak
Oh,
all the time because I have
that's so
three
good.
three
That's
coaches and a therapist.
that's so good. So you said that you now are a certified coach yourself, and
Mhm.
you've been certified for 3 years. So, do you feel like your experience helps you show up and be there for the men and women that you coach along their journeys? And what is it that you guys typically focus on doing your coaching sessions?
Oh, undoubtedly, this my experience helps them because a lot of times it's like because what I've learned, people just want to feel heard, and I end all of my lives, all of my reels, not all my reels, but all my lives on my social media with "I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and I love you," and God does too. Because the reality is, even people that are healthy, not healthy, delete. Everybody's healthy. People that had no trauma, they still want to be seen, felt, heard, and loved. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've been through, what you haven't been through. Silver spoon, $1 million, you all want the same thing. So it's just
Right.
like, if you got that person that's just sitting there and like, I hear you. I've been through the exact same thing. I got the t-shirt. I've been through it more than one time, with more than one man, so it's just like you just want to be heard. It's like, okay, I'm not crazy. This is hard to get through, and that we're mostly just like listening to them and helping them understand and guiding them through this process and helping them see who they are inside and who God created them to be. Because that's what it's about. And I think the biggest thing about the book is like who God created you to be before you got molested, before you got cheated on, before you got divorced, before somebody even said a cross word to you, before any
Mm-hmm.
of that happened, who he created you to be when you were in the womb, because he created you, before anything happened, before you even came out, before anything happened, who he created you to be. And that's when you get to see that and feel that and know that in your core, then you'll be good. And that's what I
I
do.
agree. I think that sometimes we have these experiences that start to mold the individual that we become. And a
Exactly.
lot of times we start to stray from the individual that we were meant to be,
Yes.
because then we have all of these outside influences. So essentially, in our adulthood,
Mhm.
you have to focus on stripping away all of the layers of like trauma and conditioning and programming and everything that looks like with media, with parents, with everything that contributes to who you are as a human being. Stripping that all away and becoming one with what you were deemed and created and called to do. So
Mhm.
essentially, a lot of times you're just whatever it is that you're called to do is getting back to what you did as a kid, what you loved as a child. I
Mhm.
would sit in my room and I would write. And that was the very, very first thing that I wanted to do above all else. I said, I'm going to be a writer. But then,
Awesome.
of course, you got those influences and people saying, well, you can't make no money writing. You need to just be a lawyer or a psychiatrist or
Exactly.
something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you're like, oh, and you kind of get confused. But I love how becoming one with myself and honoring God and the
Mhm.
calling, I come back to what it was that I was supposed to do. And now I'm a writer, and now I speak about the things that I write about, and I empower and uplift people, which is all Jesus did. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love
So
it.
isn't that wonderful that sometimes you just got to unravel yourself to get back to the core of what you're here to do.
Yeah, I love that. I want to go back to what you said about programming. It makes me think when I remember when I was first, and I mean, I guess because I do a lot of self-development stuff, and I
Mhm.
hear the programming. And when I
Mhm.
hear that word programming, I think of a computer and somebody just sitting there typing at a computer. And it's just like, how does you get programmed, right? And
Mhm.
that's what it is. All of our experiences, all of our pain, all of our junk, and all of our good things. It's like the devil or the enemy sitting there at a computer just typing all this stuff into our heads like you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that, and at the same time God's on the opposite side of the desk and he's typing it too. But come on, girl, you got this,
Yep.
I made you, come on,
Yep.
baby.
Yep.
Just like when you said that programming, and that's what you just think, they are programming, and he programmed us in the very beginning. He programmed
Mm.
us. And when
Mhm.
all that stuff that he made, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I learned yesterday that I am God's multifaceted masterpiece. Her
Yes.
Donna Izard is where I got the giving her the credit. And it's just like, yes, he's typing that, he's programming it into us, and it's like he programmed it originally, but we're just choosing to allow that other program to override all that he put in there. So the same way that goes for override, we gotta unplug that computer and
That's
reboot
right.
it and do
That's right.
it again.
We have to.
Yeah,
It takes diligent work to be able to
diligent.
allow God's voice to be louder
Exactly. Yeah.
than the enemy's voice, and
Exactly.
it's constantly happening. We
Mm,
could That's why I am really, something that I'm really intentional about doing is getting up and giving gratitude, having those quiet moments in the morning before there's kids and phone calls and noise, and just having that time with God to give gratitude and be centered, and to remember the voice of positivity, remember the voice of encouragement, remember, what do I need to be doing today to live out my calling and to get closer to where you need me to be. So
mhm.
if the more, there's a fable, and I know I'm going to totally butcher it, but it's so beautiful. But it said, there's two wolves inside of you, and whichever one you feed the most will get the strongest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So essentially, our thoughts are the food.
Yeah.
So we have to really put in energy and time into feeding the positive voice, feeding God's voice. Otherwise, the other one, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's whichever one you're feeding with your thoughts.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So, what's a book that you've read other than your own book? What's your name of your book again?
I feel better already.
I feel better already. I love that title. So what is another book that you've read that you just felt like was so powerful and really contributed to your personal development, and you just need everybody to read it?
I feel that it's very ironic that I was journaling before you got on here and you asked this question. 100 Days of Believing Bigger.
Oh, that's good.
It's very ironic that you asked that and we're going through it right now. We're on day 30. And so
Hmm.
I would encourage anybody that, that's going through something, women, I think it's predominantly for women, and to join the Destiny Collective. And we're going through this book together, and it's just phenomenal, and it's really blessed me. And we
Mm.
go through that. We go through identity. Marshawn Evans Daniels wrote it, and it's based on her book Believe Bigger. I have that too, but that's upstairs. But this is that one. So, and it helps you with your identity, help you deal with the disruption, helps you deal with who you are as God's creation. And she has
Mm.
people coming in and speaking to us all the time, and it's just fantastic. It's a blessed group, and it really elevates me as a person, as a child of God, as a mother, and it just as a woman, So it's
Well,
fantastic.
now I'm curious. Open up that book and tell me, like, what are the action tasks that you've done within the 30 days already?
Oh my God, how was that? That's our homework. She
Is
asked.
it?
It's our homework that I can't forgot. But yes, and that was the assignment to go over the last 30 days. How have you changed and what's happened for you in the last 30 days? So I don't have it yet, but okay, so I can just say, okay, so my first podcast with you, my first time live streaming, that's God.
Yes.
I've been going consistently on my IG all week, showing up twice a day. That's God. My affirmations book. I whipped it out. I wrote it over the course of I wrote it in a day, but I got it
Yeah.
pretty in 2 days. That's big for me.
Yes.
What else have I done in the last 30 days? Had a real personal breakthrough. I really can't share, but I had a really personal breakthrough. I'm excited about that.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I've had lots of great things in the last 30 days. And if I sit down and think about all of them, but I joined in another accountability group to make sure that I'm posting and sharing. Oh, and I got together the women of that are I'm in the Atlanta area that are in
Mhm.
the group, and we had a beautiful lunch together. So I
Oh,
gathered a beautiful group of women together. That's an
yeah.
accomplishment. What else? I can't think of anything else. Just being a great mother to my kids, just because my spirit lifts other people's lifts around me. I'm constantly an encourager and a supporter. That's an accomplishment for me. What else? Oh, that I can speak this quickly and highly, and it's like, okay, I see you. These are my. There was a time that you could ask me, tell me something good about you. You hear the little cricket thing, and I couldn't think of anything. It's like, could somebody tell me something? I don't
Yes.
know. But yeah, so
Yes.
that is so funny that you asked me that, and that's the assignment for the last 30 days. So yes, God has been really moving, and I'm very grateful, very grateful.
So that book is more focused on like career path,
It's about just
or
allowing God, and I could tell you specifically, it's like, okay, it's 10 pillars, and the first one is trust. You have to trust God, trust, and then purpose. Then we go through identity, disruption, belief, and faith. I sure hope I can get all of them. Let's get through. Blessing blockers, because after you get, blessed, there's some blockers that are keeping you from your blessing. Blessing
mm.
blockers.
Oh, that's good.
Then you have to have your stillness. You get still and hear from God again. Blessing and obedience. Looks like significance and courage. So those are the 10
Oh,
pillars that
awesome.
each the book is
And
broken.
those the 10 pillars that you're focused on within these 30 days, or they are addressed throughout in the entire book?
The entire book, the 100. It's 100 days. And we're
Oh,
working it to the end of the year.
oh yes, a fourth quarter basically. I love it. So tell me what your perspective on failure is. What's your relationship with failure?
Well, my relationship with failure is one of the things that I wrote in the book. One of my favorite quotes in my book is, "Don't let fear fuck you over." And the thing is, you have to try something in order to fail at it. A lot of times we won't try something because we're afraid of it. We're afraid of what happens. We're afraid of failing in the first place. And
Right.
that's, asking out a guy. That's even talking to somebody at the gym. That's even picking up a book to try to heal from
Mm,
something. Turning on a podcast versus listening to some music. Turning to food instead of um, turning to a friend when you're stuck. We're much more comfortable. And what she was saying this morning was like, it's easier to sit in your wounding than to go further and go forward. Because
ooh,
after, when you, like I said about the acceptance, when you finally accept it, it's like, oh, when you accept it, it's like, oh, and then you just want to sit there. But the longer you sit, the longer you stay stuck. So when you fail, that means that you did try at least. That means that you,
absolutely.
you attempted to go forward. So you really do have to try to go forward to fail. So actually failing is success, because at least you did try to step out into the, like Brene Brown says, step into the arena.
Mm-hmm.
In order to fail, you have to at least try. So it's a big deal, to fail. And because it's like, when you fail, you're closer to figuring out, okay, this didn't work, what will, and
Mm,
willing to stick in it and try different things, and also
yeah.
it really helps you understand you a little bit more. Because like one of the things that I recognized after my divorce was just like, after him, it was some other guys. And I was just like, wait a minute, again, this happened? No. And
A
it's like,
pattern.
yeah, it's a pattern. So it's just like when you fail at these different things, you start to see the pattern, whether it's a relationship, whether it's something at work or with your money. You see the pattern. You only see the pattern when you fail. And then but you got to recognize, you got to take that step back to recognize it. Otherwise, it's going to be failing and it's going to be useless. But if you can use it as an opportunity to see yourself better, to understand yourself better, for self-discovery, that's when it's going to be beneficial to you. But I mean, at
Oh,
first,
yeah.
it's scary, and nobody wants to fail. But
No.
what you do is that's why it's important that you have a circle. That's why it's important that you have a group of people that are reminding you. It's like, hey, just think there was a time when you wouldn't even tried, and then you recognize it as success. So
Mm.
yeah, so it's
Yeah, there was on my journey through entrepreneurship, I had to become comfortable with the idea of failing and also recognizing that there's a lesson in the failure and
mm,
there has to be a certain level of accountability to be able to evaluate the way that I failed and pivot to turn it into a success to be able to actually profit from the mistake, right?
mm,
But I had such a hurdle to initially overcome of being a perfectionist.
yeah,
But what that ideal of perfection ended up doing was keeping me from moving forward because I didn't want to fail. You know what I
exactly,
mean?
exactly.
Or
And nobody
keeping
wants to.
me
It hurts.
from, yeah,
Mm,
what it would do was keep me from progressing with something or launching something, or I would stay stuck in one place because I would tweak and I would, keep keep enhancing, keep enhancing. And I'm just like, at some point I've got to show this to somebody. You know what I mean? Because
exactly.
I was so focused on the idea of it being perfect that ultimately I was letting that become fear of presenting whatever it was that I was working on. So
Mm,
I really had to dig deep and overcome that and be comfortable with failures and see the lessons in it, appreciate it, give the failures to God, allow Him to let me honor whatever it was that I had to learn from that and then move forward.
yeah, and that's what's important. And particularly when you talk about perfectionism, and that is a lot of fear. It's like even though for the longest time it's just like I just want it to be great. I want people to love it, but really
Right.
it's fear of rejection. Fear of them
Mm.
not approving is what it was, and it still is because I still go through it. That's why it's good for me to have a circle. Come on, girl, just put it out. So it's important. But yeah,
So
it's
how many women are in your circle?
the accountability group that I have, 3.
Hmm.
Well, actually,
Yes.
I got a 2. I got a couple of them. Praise God. God has really me in a season of improvement, and it's just like, okay, sis, you've been through a whole lot, and I got a whole bunch of people assigned to you. So I'm gonna make sure these women got you, and these women got you, and these women got you over here, and then a couple over here that's gonna be coming too. He has me in a place, and I praise him for every person that encourages me so I can continue to encourage other people. So, yeah.
Yes. I love the fact that you said that you are in a season of self improvement because I myself believe I'm in a season of creativity.
Yeah.
So much so to where it's almost kind of driving me crazy because I just feel like God is just downloading so much into my mind constantly to
Write it
where
down.
I'm constantly creating and writing, and I'm like
It's
filling up notepads, and I always keep a
on
pen
it.
and a notepad with me now
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it's guaranteed no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm getting a cup of hot tea
Mhm.
from a coffee shop, or I'm riding in the car with my husband, or I'm having a conversation with my daughters, I will get sprung with something. I'm like, oh, I gotta write it down. And
That's
but it's happening so frequently and so abundantly that it's like, my God, I just want to turn it off for a second.
mhm. Yeah.
Because I end up kind of getting to this space of being mentally tired because it's
Mhm.
happening so frequently. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
That's
Yeah.
fantastic though. That's better than not hearing anything. And I think the beauty that I heard is that you have the notepad with you because a lot of times that happens. It happens to me sometimes. But I use the voice notes things, and I'll
Yeah.
try to, it's like, okay, that's a great idea because I don't always write things down. But if it hits me hard enough, I'll make a voice quote. So it's just like, okay, this is what especially being in the coach arena because
Hmm.
somebody else is going to have to get through what I just went through. And I got to have it written down and talked about so I can help them get through it.
Right.
And so I think that's wonderful that you're getting all these downloads and patience. I love it.
it's it's amazing. It's funny how I look back on my life through the years and how I would watch hours upon hours of television, and I just, now now I'm just like, I've got to turn the TV on just to kind of decompress my mind for a little bit, but I might watch like 30 minutes. The rest of all of the hours of the day is just like flooded with ideas. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
it's kind of like shift gears for me, where this season of creativity is just so abundant and I'm just doing all the things.
that's fantastic. I love it. I love it. I think that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank
I say.
you. And I love that you are in a space of like personal development and you have a
Mhm.
great support system,
Oh,
strong
yes.
people around you, holding you accountable,
Mhm.
helping you see through the things that you need to. I love that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so tell me, with your book, do you get most of your clientele that kind of aligns with your story, with your trauma, and they kind of your story resonates with them, and therefore that's the type of clientele that you attract? Or do you just attract various different people with very different backgrounds?
It seems like they have, well, not that, and they haven't all been molested, but they've been through something, whether it's a heartbreak or it's a divorce or it's a molestation. I've gotten a couple of the molestations, but it's just some kind of pain, or it could be. I had a couple that had pain at work. So, and I think that it's, I think, but I guess because I've been through so many different kinds of pain, I can relate to all of them, and they can all relate to me. But it's like because I make it just relatable and it's just real. It's just real life, and
Yeah.
it's just real. It's my real life. It's something, and I think because I share that I'm going through this thing, and I can hold
Mm.
you, and I'm not there yet. There is no there. That was probably my biggest lesson. One of my other biggest lessons that there is no there.
Oh,
It's just right here. It's just today. Because
oh.
I had this big thing that my previous coaches, well, my coaches call it the arrival syndrome. And it's just like or arrival fantasy. It's like I just thought it was going to be like this one particular place that I got to, and it was going to be rainbows and gold fountains and music
Yeah.
playing to say, "Ah, you've
Uh-huh.
arrived."
Yeah, you're
And there
healed, you're good. Here's your
exactly.
unicorn.
And there is no place. There is right here. And that's what the biggest thing for me to understand and help other people understand that right here is all that we have. And especially after
Mhm.
COVID and everybody dying around me. I work in dialysis, so I have people dying around me all the time. And it really puts my life in a perspective that this is all that you have. The fact that you can take breath today, thank you. It might not be looking as rosy as you want it, but right here, right now, thank you. And it
Mm.
just puts it in so much perspective, like really puts it in perspective.
Mm. So you're basically saying that you talk to people a lot about being present
Yeah.
instead of kind of also having this sadness on top of the sadness because they are looking for this end all be all location where they're totally healed and everything goes away. So
Mhm.
they're sad with the original sadness, but then they layer it with, well, why am I not there yet?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you're just saying there is no there.
Yeah.
There is just right now.
Yeah. But the only reason I can say that is because it took me a long time to recognize that. Because anytime that you've been through that, through some kind of any of the traumas that you've experienced, you do think that there is a there. It's like at some point I gotta stop hurting. When is it gonna be over? When am I gonna feel better? And
Right.
I think that's the part of why I named it the book. You just gotta choose to say, I feel better already. I don't have $1 million, but damn it, I feel better already. I don't have a man, but I feel better already. So it's just like just being good with where you are. So
Yes.
every kind of trauma, any kind, and then you have to be a trauma. Sometimes it's just because you just have a shitty day. And
Yeah.
you still gotta choose to feel better already and just knowing that nothing else has to change for you to be good with yourself. So that's
Oh,
the point.
I love that. Miss
Mhm.
Keisha, I just love you. I'm
I
so
love you too.
happy that we found one another. This is so
I'm
wonderful.
happy too. It's been a great podcast experience. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm happy that I could be your first podcast experience. and that you're enjoying yourself.
All right.
So who do you know that you feel like would be an excellent person for me to know? Like you feel like we would vibe and they would love to be on the podcast or just know personally who comes to mind?
Oh, I have so many people in my circle. I mean, I got like so many coaches in my circle, like so many of them. Well, Shelly Pugh is like a really good like helper. Dr. Laura Pruitt in Oklahoma. Well, that's close to you. You're like in no, you're in Denver or something.
I'm in Colorado. I'm a little bit up from Denver. I'm like an hour and a half. It's a ski town called Breckenridge. That's where I am.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I've been to Denver, but I hadn't been to Breckenridge. But Denver's
Yeah.
really cool, really cool.
Yeah.
So many different ones. Let's see, Seema Whiteema, my coach, Marshawn Evans Daniels, Rebecca Lynn Pope, Miles Pro, Erica Jade. I mean, so many people. I mean, lots and lots of coach people are in my circle. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to connect us because I know if they're associated with you, they're going to be wonderful.
Awesome. Awesome. It's a good time. It's a great time. Life
So
is
tell me, how old are your children?
21 and my daughter's going to be 20 on Tuesday.
Oh, they're not children at all.
Not anymore. Nope, not anymore.
Yes, my girls are still babies. They're 12 and 5.
Oh, nice. What a spacing. That's a big spacing.
Yes, honey. Clarity was not playing. Clarity's the baby. And let me tell you, God was working on that because I was on birth control and got pregnant.
Really?
Yes. I was on birth control and I was just like, okay, God,
She
it
was
is what it is.
huh? She was determined. All right.
She was meant to be.
Meant to be.
So our last question of the evening is, what is your favorite candy?
Reese cup.
Ooh, yes, chocolate and peanut
butter
butter.
and chocolate. Yeah. Reese cup
Yes.
and Payday and Snickers. I like that. I like nuts and chocolate. I like it. I love it.
Yes, you know what my favorite is? I like chocolate covered cherries. You know the kind in the red box at Valentine's Day? That's
Yeah.
my favorite candy.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait till it's the day after Valentine's Day and all the boxes go down to 25¢. I'm like, give me all the boxes.
And your husband knows what to get you on Valentine's Day too. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, thank you, man. Well, I appreciate you spending some time with me on this Friday or whatever day it is our people are watching, but we're recording on Friday. So tell everybody where they can meet you, what your Instagram handle is, if you have a website, and the name of your book.
The name of my book is I Feel Better Already, Your Journey to Self-Discovery and Self-Confidence. My IG is I am Kesha Chanel, and Kesha is Kesha. And my LinkedIn is I am Kesha Chanel too. And I just started my YouTube.
Oh, yay.
My YouTube is Kesha Chanel. And it's Kesha.
Awesome.
Yes.
What is your YouTube going to be featuring?
Me.
Doing what?
It's basically gonna be my my live streams. Oh, and I do have a show called Coach Connection on Instagram, and I'm going to be uploading my videos from Coach Connection onto YouTube as well. And the premise of Coach Connection is very similar to yours. And coaches come together and connect, and people get healed from our conversations. Because coaches, we have different kind of conversations. We have conversations about therapy and about life and about mindset and about habits and improvement. So we talk about these things and we talk about real life, and so people can join in and get healed. So.
Oh, well, I'd love to join you. I'd love to join you on that. Most of the coaching that I consist in is diversity and inclusion arena with, corporations and nonprofits. And then, the entrepreneurial space with people that resonate most with my book, The Entrepreneur's Checklist. So that's where I have the one-on-one consultation and that type of thing. So Yeah, I'd love to come and partake in that with you.
That'd be fantastic. I haven't had anybody speak on inclusion before. I think that'll be wonderful. That'll be really wonderful.
Yes, yes, let's do it. Well, let's happen it. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me
Thank you
on
for
this
having
wonderful
me.
day. Yes, so this is Alexandria Nicole, and you're watching the Empower Hour, and we were with Miss Keisha Chanel today. And you can find me at the real Alexandria Nicole on Instagram. And I hope that you were inspired, motivated, and most of all, empowered. Be blessed.